Hey, what's good, everyone? It's Turf Talk with co-host Richard Donahue, and
Landon Kostusiak.
today we're going to be talking about MVP race, Joe Flacco, the Bandits, the Bills and the Dolphins game, the championship for college, the comeback player of the year, Lamar versus Allen, the Sabres, and offensive player of the year. First off, starting will be Landon Kostusiak talking about the Sabres.
Yeah, so it's not going to be very long about the Sabres. It's just, first things first, I think the first thing the Sabres should do is fire head coach Don Granato, as his best record was last year at, I think, 42-39 maybe. I don't remember exactly, but he's had a winning record once, and they only pop off after they've missed the playoffs. And this team has showed absolutely nothing this year, really, especially with the last, I think, Sunday's loss against Ottawa, one of the worst teams in the league, which is now better than the Sabres. And it's just a 5-1 or 4-1 loss to Ottawa is just not it, coming off a 3-2 overtime thrilling victory against the Capitals. So that's really all. I don't know what else could help the Sabres. It's crazy that the only game that out of those two games that they won was the game that Don Granato wasn't coaching in because he was too sick to coach. They had the coach from Rochester coaching. Don't know his name, but I don't know. It's another disappointing year for the Bandits. They have a really talented team, and it's not you can use the excuse of they're just young anymore, because they should be at the point where they should be playing good. Tage Thompson's 26, Rasmus Dahlin's 23. I mean, Jeff Skinner's, they don't got as much longer of Jeff Skinner at 31. So they just got to pick it up and find a way to win for once.
Such terrific insight, Landon. Now let's jump into the MVP race, because there's just so much we could talk about here. I mean, Christian McCaffrey just went over 2,000 yards, and the last person that I can think of that really did it like how he did is Adrian Peterson. I mean, I know Derrick Henry had his 2,000-yard season, but it was not nearly as impressive as this. Christian McCaffrey leads running backs in almost every statistical category. He's tied for touchdowns with Raheem Mostert. He is first in yards rushing, first in receiving yards, first in receiving touchdowns. Yeah, first in rushing yards a game. He's ridiculous. He's having an insane season. And I think he's the cause for the 1 seed that the 49ers, not Brock Purdy. So get Brock Purdy out of the MVP race. He shouldn't even be in it. CMC, he's having statistically a better year than Adrian Peterson in 2012, and he won the MVP that year because it was a bad quarterback year, just like this year.
Did they make the playoffs?
I don't even think. Yeah, I don't even.
Think Minnesota made the playoffs.
Exactly. Now you're looking at the 1 seed. I mean, he's probably going to win Super Bowl MVP if they go. He's clearly the best skilled position, and that's saying something because Tyreek's having an insane year. I think that he deserves the MVP over anyone right now.
Well, those are some good takes. I like the CMC for MVP, but with his last game, he left with an injury, and I just don't think that they're going to vote CMC for MVP with his last game ending with an injury and him not playing this. He's the only one of the 49ers offensive starters this week that will not be playing at all. Most likely they're going to bench their starters, probably halftime, but they're not going to – CMC's not playing at all to keep him well-preserved, and I think that's probably going to tank his MVP stats, saying last week he had 16 carries for about 49 yards. I think that's the first time all year that he has gone under 100, under 50. So it's a little crazy, but he did leave with a lower back injury, maybe?
I think lower back and ankle.
Lower back and ankle, probably. I don't know. Doesn't seem like something to be too worried about. I mean, he's got 2 weeks off with the bye, and we'll see. But I'm going to give it to Lamar Jackson just because how well of a season he's having. Coming off an injury last year, it's really been, and he's really the MVP of that Ravens offense. Now you can argue quarterback wise, The only other quarterback that's close to the argument is Josh Allen, and after that Patriots game, it's just you can't even put him up there. I mean, 10 for 24, about maybe $150 max with. I don't even know if he had a touchdown pass. I don't think he did. No, he had two rushing, and then Rasul had the pick 6. Maybe they did. No, I think they had 2 field goals. So yeah, he didn't. I mean, 2 rushing touchdowns. He tied Jalen Hurts for 15, which is the current NFL record for regular season. With I think Hurts is playing this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're still fighting for NFC East.
Yeah.
So yeah, unless Josh Allen goes for about 506 touchdowns, maybe. But I'm gonna give it to Lamar.
I mean, it's really dwindled down to like 4 players tops for the MVP, and that's saying something. It's really only Lamar, and it's now the seems he's not playing. Lamar pretty much clinched the MVP. But if we look back a couple weeks before the Tyreek Hill injury, he was on pace for 2,100, and I think that they would have given it to him, and he would have been the first receiver ever to win MVP. But he would have been the first receiver to have 2,000 yards. And this is a hot take, but I think T.J. Watt should get a mention because T.J. Watt has had 17 sacks. I think he has 5 forced fumbles. He's the reason the Steelers are even winning games. It's not Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin should be fired. He's awful. T.J. Watt is a top 3 player in the NFL currently. He is insane. He is incredible. I don't know. I like him. And can we talk about Joe Flacco? He is having one of the best 4-game stretches, I think, of his career right now. Yeah, 5 games. He's having one of the best stretches of his career. And what is he, 40? 39?
38.
38. Oh, my God.
He hasn't played as a starter. I mean, last year he played a game or 2 for the Jets, but as a starter, he hasn't played since fucking year 3.
I saw a statistic, and it said number of games with 300 yards and 2+ touchdowns. Since Big Ben, the Steelers have had 0, and then Joe Flacco's had 4. So there you go. I mean...
yeah, I mean, Joe Flacco, what he's been doing is really remarkable. I mean, that's a Cleveland Browns team that's been rattled by injuries. I mean, Deshaun Watson going down, he was 100%. That defense is insane. Nick Chubb, it's a different team with Nick Chubb. I forgot about Nick Chubb. It's a different. Yeah, I heard him week 2. It's a different team with Nick Chubb. But it's really just it's been the Joe Flacco show. I mean, I saw a clip from when I was watching the Jets-Browns game last Thursday night. I mean, Flacco moves out of the pocket, gets away from Quinnen Williams. He hit him, and Flacco still got away. On the run, rolling out to the left, and he throws a laser to, I think it was Jerome Ford for a touchdown. It was absolutely crazy that a 38-year-old man who has not played meaningful snaps as a starter for more than 5 games since probably 2018 with the Broncos, I think, or 2019, whatever year he was on the Broncos. It's crazy that he straight up came up off the couch, wasn't even on a team the first 10 weeks of the season, and then they just start him. And next thing you know, Cleveland's in the playoffs. They've clinched it. It's crazy. They're a lock for the 5 seed. No team can get the 5 seed over them, I don't think.
No, they can't.
The Dolphins would be, if they lose, they're 6, right?
6, yeah.
Yeah, so no team, and the Bills lose, they're 6 too. So they've locked the 5 seed, and Joe Flacco is not playing this week. I saw that earlier. It's the Jeff Driscoll show this week.
It's going to be awful.
Yeah, no one's watching the Cleveland Browns this week. But, I mean, really, he's had a great connection with David Njoku. Him and Amari Cooper were lighting it up. I mean, there's not much more you can say about Flacco except, I mean, what the fans were saying. The fans were chanting his name. He really is a fan favorite down there in Cleveland.
Such terrific insight, Landon Kostusiak. I mean, Joe Flacco, he's a dog. The NFL is so soft. We've needed some swagger. Aaron Rodgers has been hurt all year, and the way that he just he puts that such a pretty ball. It's such a tight spiral, always on the money.
He's got an arm too.
It really reminds me of Aaron Rodgers, and we need some of that game in the current NFL landscape. And I think the only college player that's going to be able to really perform up to that expectation is going to be J.J. McCarthy. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and that's one of my hot takes.
What?
But you look at his record collegiate-wise, I think he's 25-1. Only person to do that is Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston had all the talent in the world, 5,000 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 30 picks. But I'm telling you, J.J. McCarthy is going to be a dog.
Dude, what?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
He's going to be a dog.
I know I'm an Ohio State fan, and that's probably going to be a little. But he's just been handing off to Blake Corum. He's got Donovan Mitchell. I think that's a basketball player. I don't know. I think they're backup running backs. I don't know. He ripped up Ohio State 2 years ago. But we need to talk about, if we're talking someone who throws a pretty ball with some precise accuracy, we need to be talking about Michael Penix.
Michael Penix. He's accurate.
Nasty. I guess we're going into the college football playoffs now.
Yeah, he throws one of the prettiest balls, like accuracy wise, in the entire college football landscape. He's incredible, but I just don't think he has like the winning mindset of J.J. McCarthy. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be an underrated pick. I'm telling you.
So are you taking Michigan?
I'm taking Michigan 42-13 against Washington. Blowout. What about you?
Give me this mic. Okay. First things first, try not to be a biased Ohio State fan right here, but I am 110% taking Washington because I don't think that – I know Michigan's got a great D. I'll tell you that. They got a great defense, but I don't see Washington's offense slowing down. It really has just been a fantastic offense, and they really showed their capability to run the ball against Texas on Monday, where I think their running back ran for about 121 yards and 2 touchdowns, a good running game in a 37-31 win versus Texas, where at the end there, their defense really stepped it up, which has been a problem for Washington all year. Was their defense was really, their offense could have pulled many games away, but their defense just kept letting them back in, but their defense came up clutch against Quinn Ewers and the Texas Longhorns. So I'm going to take the Washington Huskies 41-35. Give me Michael Penix.
All right. I think Washington has the best receiving duo in college right now, for sure. And I think that offense is super, super highly powered. But that Michigan defense, I can just see them outperforming how they have all year. And I think the Washington defense is going to sell under that national championship pressure. But are the Bandits washed? After that first game, home opener, you lose in double overtime? It's kind of scary to see the back-to-back championship appearances and champions last year. It's scary. Josh Burns looked awesome, but the rest of the team just looked like they had nothing to play for. It looks like they haven't picked up their stick since the championship. What do you think about it?
Listen. I was at that last week's game against Georgia, and really all I'm going to say is Matt Vince, the goalie, he's just so up and down. He'll make a great save, and then the Bandits offense won't capitalize, which has been another problem in my opinion. So then they go down the field, and next thing you know, it's a pretty, for a 39-year-old, 40-year-old goalie who's been playing lacrosse for a while, it's a pretty easy save, I'd say, for him to make. But he lets it go in, and it's just super up and down. And I really think that age is starting to get to him. And that could be a big position the Bandits are gonna need in the future. They might need a good goalie. I don't know how good their backup is right now. I don't really know who the guy is, but if you're looking for Matt Vince, it can't be that bad. It's a great goalie, great age for him to teach the young guy. Can't be older than Vince. But I don't know. Dane Smith, to me, he doesn't seem to be taking shots anymore. It's more if he just passes it off and lets Josh Byrne do it all. But from what I saw last week, the offense was insanely sloppy. They couldn't catch the ball. They struggled shooting. They struggled throwing. And it was really just a super sloppy game, which for the weekend for Buffalo sports was, I guess, the word of the weekend, because the Sabres were playing sloppy at first before they had to come behind, win in overtime. And the Bills, just that Patriots game was insanely sloppy. They didn't have a good defense. They didn't win. Mm-hmm. But the Bandits, I just really played the worst, honestly, out of all team. And they only lost by 1 point. That shows you really what this team can do if they can just produce. Mm-hmm. But now the Bandits stand at 1-2. They're falling in the power rankings. I saw this morning. The Bandits have went from, I think they were at 1 still. Now they're down at 6. So they've fallen down 5 spots.
Well, it's a practice issue. I mean, when you're dropping balls, you're not like able to pass the ball around in box or regular lacrosse. That's the problem. You gotta just stick to the basics. Don't try to do too much. I think they just need to lock in, and it might be a coaching issue down in Buffalo. So, I mean, I was always a fan, but
I was a fan. He was a great Buffalo, probably the greatest Bandits player of all time, and he's been a fantastic coach. I mean, back-to-back years making the NLL championship, mm-hmm. And I mean he's won every single every championship that this team has seen. All 5 of them, I think it's 5 or 6. 5. Mm. Every single one, Tavares has been a player or he's been the coach. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's the main problem right now.
I mean, I've always been a fan of the guy, but he's got to fix it. And I think if this Bandits team finishes the year like how they started it, he might be on the hot seat. So I kind of want to talk about the Bills versus the Dolphins, because this is going to be a long topic. There's so much to talk about. So if the Bills lose, they pretty much are out of the playoffs, assuming that Houston wins or Indy.
I mean, I think it's if Pittsburgh.
Oh, if Pittsburgh
wins,
yeah,
and if Jacksonville wins, Buffalo's out.
Yeah, so if Jacksonville beats the Titans, who are 5-11. And Pittsburgh faces the backups for the Ravens. So basically, Bills are out of the playoffs pretty much if they lose, and the Dolphins are the 6th seed if the Bills win. So, as a Dolphins fan, I just don't know like if I want to root for the Dolphins to win or lose, because I'm more worried about C.J. Stroud in the 7th seed than Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs if we are the 6th seed, because the Chiefs have played so bad for the past 4 weeks. They have been awful. Receivers can't catch. Mahomes has been off. I mean, they lost to the Raiders. And the Raiders, I mean, I'm sorry, but the Raiders are not him. What's his name? Aiden O'Connell didn't even complete a pass after the first quarter, and they lost. It was awful. It's a full collapse in the Chiefs organization. They need to go out and they need to draft a receiver. They need to just sign one. Yeah, they need some stuff to happen over there in Kansas City. But I think the Dolphins should win. Like if they play all their players, but also I just can't see them starting all their players the whole time since we already clinched the playoffs. Jalen Phillips went down against the Jets on Black Friday, and now we have Bradley Chubb out. I'm not sure about the Xavier Howard foot injury, if it's like out for the season, but I mean,
week to week, I think.
Yeah, that's rough. You got Jalen Waddle coming back off the high ankle sprain. You have we just got Jerome Baker finally off IR. He has a 21-week window or 21-day window. I mean, the Dolphins are just starting to get healthy again. I think I could see them pulling their guys if they're losing at halftime, but I mean, it's a tough one to tell. It really is.
Now, here's where we can talk about the Bills. Now, the Bills start off the season with a crushing overtime loss to the Jets, which really just was an unexcusable bad game for the Bills. It really was. It wasn't Josh Allen had 3 picks, fumbled, 4 turnovers. Jordan Whitehead was really owning him out there. And then the defense was clamping up all game until a spectacular catch by Garrett Wilson on Trey White. But
Trey White's
okay. Healthy Trey White's something else. But we're gonna go into this game now. Bills, they were mid. They came up hot. And the past 2 games have been a little bit ugly. But for the Chargers game defense, I mean, across the country, short week. Chargers have had 10 days to prepare. It's Christmas weekend. It wasn't going to be pretty. Now, the Patriots game, the offense got to pick it up. I mean, if the offense has that showing, even against this injury-ridiculed Dolphins team, it's top 5. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be it's going to be really hard because they throw their defense to the dogs. That's what they were doing. Their defense, 4 turnovers, I think, in the first 4 drives for the Patriots. And how many touchdowns were scored other than the Rasul Douglas pick 6? I think 1. Yeah. Off the turnover, Josh Allen had that 1 rushing touchdown. Everything else was field goals and plus position. It's really like if their offense plays like this in Miami, they're in for a rude awakening. Mm-hmm. And I think something that Sean McDermott needs to do is he needs to keep that score away from his players. That Pittsburgh score, he can't have his players knowing who wins that game. Because last week in the stadium, he told the stadium not to play that Ravens-Baltimore game for them to see that, get excited or get scared, drop that game, then they're out of that division indefinitely. So I think McDermott needs to try his hardest to keep that score away from the Bills players, the Bills coaches, just so they can keep that game with an open mind, not knowing if or tell them if they're in. If they're in, you got to let them know. Because I think that the Bills will play way more comfortable knowing that they're in the playoffs than knowing, oh no, this might be our last game of the season. This might be it. Where they're going to play they're going to be like, I don't know, nervous, a little more anxious about the game, saying they lose, their season's over. Mm-hmm. It's done. And it might be some of their last times ever playing for the Buffalo Bills. And you don't really want it to end that way. Not saying you want to end with a playoff loss, but they've played like a good team. Mm-hmm. These past few weeks, they've played like a good team. And knowing how the AFC's been, other than the Baltimore Ravens, they could go to the Super Bowl if someone upsets the Ravens. I don't see Buffalo going into Baltimore winning. I don't. I want to say they can, but I don't know. I got to see how they play this week against Miami. But it's something to be scared of is Miami they've been home warriors this year. What, 8-1 at home? 7-1?
8-1.
8-1? 9 home games is crazy.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. Their only loss at home was a fluke game to the Tennessee Titans where they allowed them to go and score 14 unanswered points with 3 minutes left.
Mike McDaniel's fault.
I mean, so is the Bradley Chubb. I mean, keeping Bradley Chubb in the 4th, that's beyond stupid.
Yeah.
So the Bills' O-line, they're lucky. That offensive line played horrid last week against the Patriots, and now they're going up against a Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubbless. Of course. Okay. It's ruining. They're going up against the Bradley Chubbless, Jalen Phillips-less D-line. They're playing Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, and I think Melvin Ingram.
Oh, don't forget about AVG.
Andrew Van Ginkel, he's a beast.
He's a
dog, yeah. But that's a linebacker coming off the edge.
Yep.
And, I mean, you're playing, I think they're going to probably have to pull up Jason Pierre-Paul and Melvin Ingram to play.
Did
you guys actually sign him?
Yeah.
I didn't know you signed him. I thought he just came to visit.
I'm pretty sure. I thought we did.
I swear he just came to visit.
He might have just visited.
Well, so that's a D tackle. You got Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer there.
Yeah, Zach Sealer's a dog, too.
So it's really going to be a test for the rookie O'Cyrus Torrence in this positioning. I mean, you're going up against Christian Wilkins or Zach Sealer. Now, he managed good earlier in the season in Buffalo. But we're just going to see how they play now. Let's hear the Miami Dolphins standpoint.
Yep. So since week 4, this Miami Dolphins team is the number 1 defense. That's like a fact. Since week 4, we've been the number 1 defense before Ramsey's came back. So this team was out of their mind. Since that Bills game, they've really picked it up. Frank! Sorry, my dog was freaking out. Yeah. I mean, number 1 since week 4, and now without Jalen Phillips, without Bradley Chubb, this team is really rough on the edges. I mean, we had to sign Melvin Ingram, JPP. We're bringing in Ndamukong Suh to go and train with us. I mean, if you're thinking about bringing back Ndamukong Suh, I mean, I love the move. I don't think they actually did that. No, they didn't. But if you're thinking about it, I mean, that's rough. I mean, I like the move because it's depth, but you're really digging in the bottom of the barrel for that. I mean, the Dolphins are injury riddled, and it's like ridiculous. Every other week, Javon Holland, Jerome Baker. Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, we need this just stay healthy. This Vic Fangio defense, he's scheming up some blitzes that are just incredible. I mean, these blitzes that I see him doing, he's got Christian Wilkins, who's probably one of the most athletic D tackles. He's having him go from 1 tech to 5 tech, and he's having the edge rusher come in. I mean, it's confusing the crap out of these lines. I mean, we're second in sacks on the entire season. It's crazy. We broke our single season franchise sack record. It's really been one season to remember here with this Dolphins team. Now with Raheem Mostert coming back, we have that 2 punch with Achane and Mostert. Achane in 10 games has 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. I mean, he's playing out of his mind. I think he's one of the most talented rookies. Yeah, he has 800 rushing, 250 receiving.
All purpose?
Yeah, all purpose. No. So, I mean, this Dolphin, and then you can't even talk about the Dolphins offense. If that Bills offense does what they did against the Patriots, it's going to be a long game for Buffalo. That Dolphins offense is hot. I mean, after that Ravens game, you would imagine that they're going to be really mad and they're just going to come off and they want to show something in this game. I mean, as long as they play the whole game, they're going to want to show something. They just got shut out by the Ravens, which I think this could be one of the best things that happened to them going into playoffs. I mean, if they get really mad, start playing with a purpose finally. But this Dolphins offense can score whenever and like wherever they want. So I'm really excited to see this matchup. I mean, that Bills defense is pretty good, but we're going to have to see. Hopefully our offensive line now coming back healthy. We got Robert Hunt coming back, and we got our tackles coming back, Armstead. Finally, we got a healthy O-line. Hopefully we can stop the Bills' pass. But
watch out for Ed Oliver.
Oh, yeah.
Ed Oliver's been a beast this year.
I'm thinking this score, 16-21, Miami. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be defense versus defense. Both offenses are having problems recently. I think the Dolphins are going to have to pick it up in the playoffs, and they need to win. You don't want the Bills in the playoffs. You really don't. I mean, because they're a friend. I mean, they've had 4-game win streak or 5?
This is 4.
4-game win streak. It's the Cowboys who, I mean, they're fraud. The Chiefs are they blew out the Cowboys. That was very impressive. They've been fraud. They looked like one of the best teams in the league, and now we're looking at them and we're seeing their frauds. So I mean, I don't know if they were fraud then, but I'd still say that's an impressive win. I think the Chiefs win. I mean, you lose, but Kadarius Toney going offsides saves you. So, and it's in Kansas City. I think that game's not as impressive. Then you look at the Christmas game with the Chargers. I mean, close game. You can't really look at anything because of that. It's on Christmas. And then the Patriots, if that shows anything about this Bills team, it's awful. But also, that's a divisional game, so it's hard to see. This Bills team could either be a fraud or I think they could be a Super Bowl contender. This team is very hard to tell. So, I mean, my prediction, 21-16 Miami.
Taking that from Safe. I'm pretty sure Safe predicted that.
Really?
I think Safe did predict that exact score, 21-16. I think he predicted that exact score. Or that was the Patriots score. I don't know. I swear it was that exact score. All right, well, on the Bills side, really, the whole thing in midseason was injuries. I mean, you're down in the Week 5 game. against Jacksonville and London, you lose two of your best players on about to have you missed all. I think Matt Milano was an All-Pro last year, right?
Yeah.
If he wasn't, that's a scam. Matt Milano is outstanding, top 3 off the ball linebacker in the league, in my opinion. But you lost 2 All-Pro candidates in one play, with Daquan Jones going down, who had 3 sacks. I think probably like close to a dozen TFLs. Just a great leader on that defense that really opened up that edge for the Bills to get pressure, which has been since the return of Von Miller, we've seen nothing. Gabe Davis, I saw this stat. Gabe Davis has more tackles than Von Miller this year. Can we just talk about that for a second?
Von Miller's awful. He punched a pregnant woman.
Von Miller has been so bad that
they had him for 6 years.
Okay, well, you can't predict injuries. Yeah, you really can't predict injuries.
You can't predict a player punching a pregnant woman.
Exactly. Well, there has been character issues with Von Miller in the past. This is not the first time. But, I mean, at the same time, when you got that great of a player coming off a Super Bowl win at the time, you're going to want to pick him up. I mean, edge rush was the problem for the Bills the year prior. With that Kansas City game, 13 seconds, they had no pressure. Yeah. I mean, Jerry Hughes was still a starter then. I love Jerry Hughes, but, man, he's old.
Yeah.
So, and then, really, that injuries were the whole problem. You lost Matt Milano, Daquan Jones, and then the week before, you lost Trey White. I mean, you're going down to a heck of a lot of injuries until about now. Until about a few weeks ago. This team got insanely healthy, insanely fast. There are 3 guys that are unhealthy on this team that will not play for the rest of the year. 2 guys that will not play for the rest of the year. That is Matt Milano with a broken leg and Trey White with a torn Achilles.
Again? Now, Trey White tore his Achilles again?
In week 4 against the Dolphins, he tore his Achilles.
Really?
Yeah.
He's done.
Now, if he can get back to half of how he played, okay, I'm just saying, if he can get back to half of how he played, Trey White, Rasul Douglas, and Taron Johnson sounds pretty nasty for Buffalo next year. Mm-hmm. But we're not talking about next year. We're talking about now. Now, in week 8, 5 minutes before the deadline, Brandon Beane sends a trade to the Packers, lands Rasul Douglas for a 3rd-round pick. Buffalo has Chicago's 3rd-round pick from the Tremaine Edmonds signing. They got a 3rd-round pick from that somehow. I don't know how that stuff works.
Probably because it was an incentive.
Incentive, yeah, and Tremaine has played every single game.
He wasn't like a free agent, technically. He was like a restricted free agent.
Yeah, I think that's all it was. So, I mean, you get a 3rd-round pick for that. You're getting a higher 3rd-round pick than you would have for yours. Mm-hmm. So, it really is looking like the steal of a century for Brandon Beane and the Bills to land Rasul Douglas, who, since he's joined the Bills, has been the number 2 or number 1 corner in the league. Behind Jalen Ramsey or in front of Jalen Ramsey, however you want to say it. They're right there. I mean, that the game against...
He has 8 turnovers?
He has 8 total turnovers.
And then 2 recoveries. It's like
exactly.
Crazy.
Since he's had 2 interception games for the Bills. He's had a pick 6. He's had 2 fumble recoveries. He's forced a fumble. And he almost had another fumble. He would have had a touchdown in the Broncos game, but they called it back.
That's insane.
Which you can debate that all you want. But, I mean, his worst game for the Bills was the Eagles game, where I really think it was more of a effort issue for him that game. He did not look like he was putting much effort.
That was a team loss.
That was a team loss 100% with the Gabe Davis and Josh Allen miss. I mean, that was a team loss 100%. But, I mean, since Rasul Douglas has came here, he's not only become a fan favorite in Buffalo, he's become one of the best corners this team has seen in a hot minute. I'll tell you that. This team has seen some solid corners, but man, the way Rasul Douglas plays, before he came here, people were saying ball hawk, but it really seems he can do everything. I mean, I am fully confident. I can't say this about a lot of players. I am confident having Rasul Douglas up on Tyreek Hill.
Really?
I'm confident. I'm not one-on-one. Have safety help above. Come on now. But I think what really is going to set this game is going to be Terrell Bernard. Mm-hmm. Terrell Bernard, say how you want, has played like an all-pro this year. Terrell Bernard, with the absence of Matt Milano, has been unreal for a step-up player. Now, Terrell Dotson is not good, in my opinion. I mean, he's been solid, but Terrell Bernard is just a game changer. This man can jump hella high. I mean, that pick against Sam Howell, week 3, that was pretty crazy. I won't lie to you. I mean, he has 3 picks, 3 sacks, like a bunch of tackles. Not even off the top of my head. And he really just has been a game changer. And I think if Tua tries to go over the middle of the field, he better throw it over Terrell Bernard, because Terrell Bernard can get up there and pick that ball off. Okay. Now, I think a mismatch for this game is going to be, if Xavier Howard's not playing, which I don't think he is.
I think it's Cater Kohu.
I think it's a Ramsey, Kohu, and Apple?
We got Eli Apple in the nickel.
I'm telling you, you're going to have Eli Apple
on Hardy
covered up. Deontay Hardy doesn't play anymore. Oh, really? It's all Shakir. Deontay Hardy was one of the worst offseason pickups other than Trent Sherfield.
I don't know.
Deontay Hardy and Trent Sherfield.
Hardy's such a good returner.
He's a good. I don't know. This year at the Bills, I don't know about returning with him this year at the Bills. He's ran backwards a lot, and it's just you got to go off field, man. I think this Bills special teams unit has not.
Shakir could cook, I think. On
Shakir, if you have Shakir, well, you said he's in the nickel.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you guys are on your defense. I don't watch a lot of Miami Dolphins games. I watch Hard Knocks. I know that. I did see Eli Apple get cooked by someone for a touchdown. Yeah. I think it was. Did Odell score?
No, it was Zay Jones.
Zay Flowers. Yeah, Zay Flowers.
That's because Lamar went lefty and then he flipped his hips and
Lamar's.
We talked
about how much I love Lamar. We talked how much I love Lamar, but I've seen Eli Apple. Now, last year with Eli Apple, the Bengals had Eli Apple on Diggs. Now he had safety help, but
he locked that shit down.
Eli Apple, he was good. He was good.
I think that's a great pickup. I mean, we're only paying him $2 million a year.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if he's in the nickel, I don't know how you guys are on your defense, like I was saying before. Yeah. If you have Eli Apple lined up on Dalton Kincaid, that is not going to be good for you. Yeah. I've seen what Kincaid could do, and this kid, he is nutty, dude. Yeah. I watched him last game. He can spin out corners.
He's like a top 3 tight end right now.
He can stiff arm a middle linebacker. There's nothing he can't do. He has the speed to burn a corner, speed to burn past his own coverage by a safety. He really is. He was the perfect pickup for the Bills.
Yeah.
I mean, no receivers on the board. Who are you going to take? You take a tight end. Not a lot of Bills fans liked it. I didn't really like the pick at the time either. I mean, you have Dawson Knox. Just paid him. But it's the way that...
It's a pass catcher. It's not even a tight end.
Exactly, yeah. He can play in the slot. I mean, everyone was saying when we drafted him, the next Cole Beasley, just a little taller. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you, big Cole Beasley fan, he's going to be better than Cole Beasley. Mm-hmm. He's 100% going to be better than Cole Beasley.
He's already better than
Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley was an All-Pro.
Oh, was he?
He was, I think, second-team All-Pro in 2020.
Really?
He was like the best slot wide receiver in the league. Cole Beasley's something else. Cole Beasley was something else.
What's your score prediction for Bills Dolphins?
Yeah, I've been kind of rambling on. I don't see it being that high scoring. 28-24, 28-20, or 24-27. Game ends with a Tyler Bass 42-yard field goal to end it for the Bills. I'm gonna hop on. I'm gonna take Buffalo for this one. Yep. I mean, it's gonna be a good one. I mean, flex this Sunday night, perfect.
Oh. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, Scott's going to it.
Real, I know. That's so...
We had plans before, and Scott's just taking over, going to it. It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
What's our next? I don't even know what our next topic is.
Comeback player of the year.
Comeback player of the year. I mean, it's called comeback. So I like a lot of people. Okay, Joe Flacco. I like him for comeback player of the year. Lamar Jackson, I like him for comeback player of the year, but if he wins MVP, don't give him 2 rewards. Here's the thing. With Joe Flacco, what did he come back from? Being bad? The NFL needs a most improved player award.
Yeah, they do.
Because DeMar Hamlin, he came back. He rose from the dead.
But he played 2 snaps. He was the reason why the Broncos beat the Bills.
No, he was not.
I mean...
It was not DeMar's fault. DeMar had a tackle to play before. If Russ didn't throw the stupid Derek Carr underthrow to draw a penalty. It's a different. We're talking the Bills are 11-5 right now.
I mean,
It's and everyone's like, DeMar was the 12th man on the field. No, he wasn't. DeMar getting pulled up for Micah Hyde in those situations. DeMar becomes a special teamer for the team. He's not every special teams unit. So saying DeMar was the 12th man on the field is stupid. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's honestly kind of tough because I could say DeMar Hamlin and everyone's gonna hate on that pick, but because he doesn't play enough. Oh, he's not even good. I mean, he came back from the dead. Mm. He rose from the dead.
Yep.
So if there was a most improved, I'll give it to Joe Flacco. Just like how Geno Smith should not have won comeback player of the year last year. Yeah, it should have been Saquon Barkley.
For CMC.
Exactly. They came back. He was just most improved. Well, let's hear your take on it.
All right. So, real quick, hot take: Dalton Kincaid is better than Travis Kelce currently. I think Travis Kelce's super washed. It might not even be a hot take, but Travis Kelce's super washed. I'm done with him. He's not even getting doubled. He's getting covered by linebackers. He's done. His career is over. Did he even get 1,000 yards this year? I mean, he's probably close, but it's rough.
800 probably.
Yeah, that's rough. Comeback player of the year. I mean, yeah, I get it. He died. Whatever. He shouldn't win comeback player of the year. He hasn't he had 2 tackles on the entire year. I mean, it's more if there was an award for dying, coming back to life.
Well, this is a rare.
I mean, I get it, but I just can't see the NFL. Yeah, I can't imagine them giving it to anyone but DeMar, and that's who I think they're gonna give it to. But I want to talk about Baker Mayfield and Tua Tagovailoa. Baker and Tua are having incredible seasons. Baker last year, I think he's always been good. I've always been a Baker supporter.
I love Baker.
I've always been a Baker supporter. It's something about those Browns quarterbacks that just get me going. I mean, yeah, I love Baker. I love his swagger. I mean, he was playing through injury constantly against with the Browns. I mean, and then you put him on that the Rams? You put him on that Rams team, 4 days of practice, and then he goes out to wins a game-winning drive? Yeah, come on. Dude, he's a dog. What is he? 4,000 something yards. He has he's at like 28 touchdowns and not even 11, 7 picks.
Yeah, I think he's at 8.
He's efficient. I mean,
that'll win the division too.
Yeah, he's number 1 in his division right now. He's the 4th seed. I mean, I think they could win a playoff game. I think Philly's going to win the division, and then they could beat Dallas for sure. I don't know, actually, but I think they could beat Philly too. Now that I'm thinking about it, Philly's been awful. They're like 1-4, 1-5.
They won 1 game in December, and they honestly shouldn't have won.
And that's a coaching problem too. I mean, I hate Nick Sirianni. I hope that guy gets fired. I mean, that might just be. It might be because of what he said after he beat the Dolphins, and it might have made me a little mad. But he was hyping up to the owner. He was like, I effing told you. I mean, I just don't like that. Yeah. Screw that. But I think it deserves to go to Baker. But then if you look at Tua's stats, I mean, Tua was throwing up gang signs on primetime football on a short week after getting concussed and winning the game against Buffalo. And then he comes back again. You think everything's fine. He's doing great. He's 9 for 12, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, first half on Christmas. I think Christmas or Christmas Eve against the Packers. Yeah, Christmas. And then he just ends up getting concussed. Throws 3 picks. He's done for the year. Everyone says he should retire. I mean, I get DeMar Hamlin because he died, but Tua also was done playing. He was going to be done. And then he goes to jiu-jitsu. I mean, the jiu-jitsu coach is a legend for that.
I'd like to say something real quick.
Yeah.
It's also come back. You said come back. What did Joe Flacco come back from?
He didn't come back from anything. He came back from the couch. Sure. I mean, that's why I can't give it to Joe Flacco, but I think most improved is definitely Joe Flacco. I love that for Joe Flacco, and I hope he goes far in the playoffs. But I mean, my prediction is DeMar, and I think who earned it is Tua or Baker.
Yeah. I mean, Baker's also up there for most improved, though. Honestly, he didn't end last year with an injury. He really just – I don't know what is wrong with that Carolina Panthers, organization, but that is a terrible organization. There was a video that came out of their GM just throwing a drink in a Jaguars fan's face. I mean, he's a scum. Honestly, I mean, past 2 years, you've had 2 head coaches. You've had 2 head coaches you fired at the midseason, which Matt Rule, he was not very good. He picked it back up at Nebraska, though. And Frank Reich, which is just, why would you get rid of him? And you trade away your franchise for Bryce Young. Mm-hmm. And it really is just, it's weird to me that you're doing... I don't know. You sold Baker Mayfield, who he wasn't that bad with the Panthers. Baker wasn't terrible with the Panthers.
I think he was good.
And him under that Sean McVay offense, that was nice. He had 1 bad game against the Packers.
Mm.
That was nice against that Sean McVay. And now...
I actually forgot he was on the Panthers.
Traded. I mean, that was another terrible management by the Browns. For what they gave up for Watson and what they paid Watson, you could have gave Baker less than half of that and kept your draft picks.
Yep.
I mean, like you said, Baker played through an injury almost his entire season.
They expected him to play elite when he had an injury on his throwing arm. His shoulder was so bad. I mean, he was going in and out of games like Matthew Stafford. I mean, you can't teach toughness. And Deshaun Watson doesn't have that. I mean, maybe he might be tough with the masseuses, but he's not tough with the football playing. I mean, look at him. He opted to go into soldier surgery. I mean, I get Anthony Richardson going into it. He's a rookie, but not Deshaun Watson. You're 27. You haven't proved anything for your contract. I mean, he's just trying to bank in the money at this point. What is he getting paid? 50-something million for nothing?
I mean, it's
52 million. It's a
$252
he has the most guaranteed money out of any player in NFL history. Yet, I mean, what has he done since 2020? Since he was on Houston, he hasn't really done anything. I mean, yeah, 4,800 passing yards in 16 games. That's really impressive. I mean, 5,000 all-purpose, but you just can't. You can't pay someone that much money when you could have had Baker, who I think right now is better, and he's on a way worse team. I mean, you put Baker on that Cleveland team. I think they won 13 games this year for sure. 13 games, and I think he stays healthy the whole way, just like on the Bucs. It's a better offensive line. It's a better receiving core, in my opinion. I mean, Elijah Moore is a dog.
Yeah, but Mike Evans and Chris Godwin's pretty nasty.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close. You got David Njoku's an absolute animal.
He had that one good fantasy week against Houston.
Who do you think is going to win comeback player?
Oh, I thought I already said DeMar. Maybe not. Well, so I say DeMar. But, I mean, another guy that, could be in the conversation, maybe Matt Stafford. I mean, he's having a good year. He was hurt last year.
I forgot about that.
There's a lot of guys that could be in the running for this.
Dude, next year's
going to be crazy, dude.
Everyone's a comeback player of the year candidate next year. It's going to be insane.
Give me Matt Milano.
I can see that, actually.
I mean, as long as he can get back to the player, he is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Baker, he's doing this all with Todd Bowles, too. He's not that good of a coach. I'll say
that. And that'll be our show, folks. Next week, we're going to be talking about week 1 of the playoffs, Wild Card Weekend. What a thriller. I'm hoping for some really exciting games. NFL script better be elite this year. We're going to be talking about Wild Card Weekend, Lamar versus Allen, Offensive Player of the Year, etc. And I think we should jump into the All-Pros and Pro Bowls next week. But
when the Pro Bowl rosters come out?
They already came out. Well, voting came out. I think they come out this weekend. Yeah. I voted QBs. I did Tua, Allen, Mahomes. I just put Mahomes in there because it's Mahomes. And then I think running backs I did Mostert. Yeah, Mostert, Cook, and who was my third?
Sadly, no Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, Mostert. I think I did Mostert, Cook, and Achane, to be honest.
For AFC, who else could you put?
Yeah, exactly. There's there's no one. For NFC, I did Christian McCaffrey, Kamara, and Kyron Williams.
The best.
Kyron has 1,000 and he missed 4 games. Kyron, I'm so excited for his career, dude.
Carried me in fantasy this year.
Him and Achan, I think, are the most talented running backs I've seen since to like the 2016 draft or 2017.
Fifth-round pick last year.
Yeah, I know. And what is with the Rams and getting 5th-round picks? Puka was a 5th. I mean, they're getting some steals, but I mean, yeah.
I'm good at drafting.
Richard Donahue
Landon Stuziak.
signing off.